The unexpected gift the war was finally over. After years of fighting, the human alliance had defeated the cruel alien empire known as the Dravik. Their ships were destroyed, their armies scattered. Peace had returned to the galaxy at least 4. Now, on the war-torn planet Veltrax 9, soldiers gathered in a large hall inside a steel bunker. Lights flickered above as cheers echoed around. The air smelled of dust, oil, and victory. Among them stood Commander Raylan Pierce, a battle-hardened human soldier. He had led many missions, saved many lives, and lost even more. People respected him, but he didn't care about medals or speeches. He just wanted quiet. But today, he was called to the front. General Cortez. An old man with a cold smile stood on the stage. "Step forward, Commander Pierce," he said. Raylan stepped up. The crowd clapped. Cameras recorded, "For your bravery." In Operation Red Horizon, the general said, "You will receive a reward taken directly from the enemy's stronghold." 2 soldiers brought out a small transport crate. Inside stood 2 alien girls, about 18 or 19 in human years. They were clearly twin-stall, silver blue skin, glowing green eyes, and long white hair tied with metal bands. Their hands were locked in energy cuffs. They wore simple cloth robes. Their faces showed no emotion, but their eyes held deep fear. "These are twin Dravik hybrids," the general said with pride. "Rare, special, captured from the enemy's lab. They are yours now, Commander." The crowd cheered louder. Some whistled. Some laughed, but Raylan didn't smile. He looked into their eyes. They weren't angry or wild. They were afraid. Not of punishment, not of pain. Of him. Raylan nodded slowly. "Understood, sir," he said. The twins were taken to his quarters. The door shut behind them with a soft hiss. The room was quiet. A small lamp glowed in the corner. Raylan stood with his arms crossed. The twins stood near the wall, silent, still wearing their cuffs. "You can sit," Raylan said. They didn't move. He sighed. Walked over, pressed a button on a small tablet. The energy cuffs clicked and fell off. One of the girls flinched. "You're free to move inside this room," he said calmly. "No collars, no orders. I'm not going to hurt you." Still, they said nothing. "What are your names?" he asked. They looked at each other finally. The one on the right spoke softly. We were never given names," Raylan thought for a moment, then pointed to the one who spoke. "You'll be Lyra." Then to the other, "And you'll be Nova." The girls looked surprised, as if they didn't expect kindness, as if they were waiting for a trick. "You don't belong to me," Raylan said, sitting down. "I don't want slaves." Lyra stared. "But we were given to you." As a reward, Raylan nodded. "And I accepted, to keep you safe." "That's all." Nova, the quieter twin, spoke for the first time. "You're different." Raylan gave a tired smile. Or maybe just tired of being like everyone else. That night, the girls lay on thin beds in the corner. Raylan sat at his desk, reading old mission logs. His weapon rested nearby, but his thoughts were on the twins. Why would the Dravok create twins like them? They didn't look like soldiers. They looked engineered. Designed, he couldn't shake the feeling that something wasn't right. Meanwhile, Lyra whispered to her sister, "He didn't touch us." "I know," Nova whispered back. "Do you think he knows?" "Knows what?" Nova's voice was low, almost afraid. "That we're not just slaves. That we were made for something else." "She," Lyra said. "Don't say it. Not yet." The next morning, Raylan received a message from General Cortez. "We're watching them. Report if anything strange happens. These twins may be more dangerous than they look." Raylan stared at the screen. Then at the sleeping girls. He closed the message without replying. Outside the window, storm clouds covered the red sky of Veltrax 9. Thunder rolled far away. Inside, 3 souls shared a quiet space, 2 of them created by science, 1 shaped by war. None of them knew it yet. But their lives were now linked by something much bigger than fate. Asterisk, it rained fire on Veltrax 9 every night. Not real fire, but burning dust in the sky. Left from the war. From far away, it looked beautiful. Up close, it was poison. Rayle stood by the window, watching it fall like red snow behind him. Lyra and Nova sat in silence. No chains on their hands now. No orders. But they still didn't move without permission. Freedom was a word they didn't understand yet. He turned from the window and placed 2 warm food packs on the table. Eat. "'Kay," he said. The girls hesitated. Nova looked at Lyra. Lyra looked at Raylan. "You think it's drugged?" Raylan asked, with a tired smile. "It's not. Just terrible army food. Still better than what the Dravik fed you, I'm guessing." Lyra slowly took 1 pack. Nova followed. They sat on the floor and began to eat. Quietly, carefully. Raylan sat back and watched. He wasn't sure what he was doing. This wasn't in any manual. Soldiers were trained to kill enemies, not care for them. Yet here he was giving names to slaves. Sharing food with them, trusting them. Was it weakness or something else? Later that day, a soldier named Maddox came to Raylan's door. Big man, loud, always laughing. He peeked into the room and grinned. "So these are your pets, Raylan?" Stepped between Maddox and the twins. "They're not pets," he said coldly. Maddox raised his hands. "Easy, Commander. Just making conversation. I heard they're Dravik bio-experiments. Dangerous stuff. Be careful, they don't bite." "They won't," Raylan replied, "lest they're pushed." He closed the door before Maddox could say more. Behind him, Nova was shaking slightly. Raylan noticed. "You okay?" She nodded quickly. "I just don't like him." "Good instinct," Raylan said. "Neither do I." That night, Lyra couldn't sleep. She sat up on her bed, staring at the ceiling. "Nova," she whispered, "what if this is all a trick? What if he's pretending?" Nova didn't open her eyes. "Then we wait. For what?" "For the moment he shows his true face." Lyra was quiet for a long time. Then she said, "I don't think he's like the others." Nova turned her head slightly. "None of them are safe." The next day, things changed. Nova disappeared. Raylan returned from a short briefing and found only Lyra in the room. Her eyes were wide with panic. "She's gone. She went out." Raylan's heart dropped. "Where?" "I don't know. She said she wanted to see the sky." Raylan cursed under his breath and rushed out. Veltrax 9 was not a safe place, even for soldiers. For someone like Nova, alone, unknown, and alien. It was a death trap. He found her near the edge of the landing field. Surrounded by 3 soldiers, one of them grabbed her by the arm. "She yours?" he asked roughly. Raylan pushed his hand away. "She's with me." She left the zone. The soldier said, "That's against protocol." She could have been spying, or worse. "She went out for air," Raylan replied. "That's not a crime." The soldier scowled. "They're not human, Commander. Don't treat them like they are." Raylan stepped closer. "And you're not my superior, so step back." After a long stare, the soldier left with his team. Nova looked at Raylan, confused. "You defended me." "Of course I did." She looked down. "Why?" He didn't answer at first. Then he said, "Because you deserve better." Back in the room, Lyra hugged her sister tightly. Nova's voice was softer now. "He came for me." Lyra nodded. "Maybe we were wrong." Nova whispered. maybe not. That night, the twins sat beside Raylan as he read. They didn't ask for anything, just sat there, silently closer than before. Raylan noticed. "You trust me now?" he asked. Lyra smiled faintly. "We don't trust humans, but maybe you're not like the rest." Later, when the lights were off, and Raylan was asleep, Nova looked at her sister. "I felt something strange today," she said. "What do you mean?" "When the soldier grabbed me, something inside me wanted to react. To burn him, I almost couldn't stop it." Lyra touched her hand gently. "You held it back. That means you're in control." Nova's voice was shaking. "What if next time I can't?" Lyra didn't answer. From his bed, Raylan opened one eye. He had heard everything. He closed his eyes again, but now his thoughts were racing. "What are you really, Nova?" Rain fell sideways on VL Tracks -9. Wind howled through broken towers outside the human base. Old war machines rusted in silence, like ghosts of a battle that refused to die. Inside the bunker, things were quiet. Too quiet. Commander Raylan Pierce sat alone in his quarters, staring at the twins from behind a datapad. But he wasn't reading. He was watching, and thinking. Last night, he had heard Nova whisper something strange. "I wanted to burn him." Raylan didn't know what that meant, but today, he planned to find out. "Let's go for a walk," Raylan said casually. The twins blinked. Lyra looked unsure. Nova said nothing. Raylan stood, clipped a scanner to his belt, and opened the door. "Come on, it's just a quiet walk. You need air." He didn't mention the hidden sensor in his pocket. They walked through a side tunnel where no one else usually came. Pipes dripped. Lights flickered. Raylan asked simple questions as they walked. "What was your home like? Do you remember the war?" The lab. Lyra gave soft answers. Nova stayed silent. Then Raylan asked, "Did the Dravik give you any training?" Nova stopped walking. Lyra quickly stepped in. "They trained us to obey." "That's all," Raylan nodded. "And yet, I think there's more." He held up the scanner, aiming it at Nova's back. It beeped softly, then glitched, then sparked. "What is that?" Nova asked. "A health scanner," Raylan said. "But it can't read you." He looked directly into her eyes. "That's not normal." Nova's hands tightened. "We didn't choose to be like this." Lyra stepped forward, her voice low. "Please, don't treat us like weapons." "I'm not," Raylan said gently. "But I need to know the truth." Suddenly, a loud crack echoed behind them. A large pipe had broken loose above, falling fast. Raylan moved to shield the girls. But before he could, Nova raised her hand. The pipe stopped mid-air. Floating for 2 seconds, nothing moved. Not wind, not sound, not breath. Then Nova lowered her hand, and the pipe slowly dropped to the ground without a sound. Raylan's eyes went wide. Lyra grabbed her sister's arm. "You shouldn't have shown him." But it was too late. Back in the quarters, no one spoke for a while. Raylan finally broke the silence. "You're telekinetic." Nova didn't deny it. Lyra whispered, "That's why the Dravik kept us in chains, not just metal ones. Mind chains. They feared what we could become." Nova added, "We were created in a lab. Half Dravik, half something else." Raylan leaned forward. "Half what?" Nova shook her head. "We don't know. Only that we're not full alien. We feel different." Raylan thought carefully. Then asked, "What else can you do?" Nova closed her eyes. "Sometimes I see thoughts. Not words, just ... Feelings, fear, hate, trust." She opened her eyes again. "I feel yours too." Raylan didn't react. Nova said, "You're afraid, but not of us. You're afraid." Of what they'll do to us. Raylan looked away. He didn't answer. Because she was right. Later that night, he opened a hidden file on his datapad. Classified intel, Project Mirror Sal Hegg had found it weeks ago, but ignored it until now. The file showed experiments, photos of twin alien hybrids. A note from a dead scientist. Subject 7A and 7B possess advanced neural evolution. Their bond may unlock emotional control over humans. Use extreme caution. Another note, their powers grow with connection. The closer they are to a human, the stronger they become. Raylan leaned back, cold sweat on his neck. So, they weren't just made to fight. They were made to connect. To bond, and then, maybe, destroy. The next morning, Raylan found Nova sitting alone. Why me? He asked. She looked up, puzzled. Why do you trust me? Nova smiled faintly. Because you looked at us and didn't see tools. He nodded slowly. And if I had, would you have used your powers? Nova didn't answer. She didn't have to. Later that day, a message arrived from High Command. Bring the twins to Central Lab. For study, immediate order. Raylan looked at the message, then at the girls. His finger hovered over the reply button. He didn't press it because now he had a choice to make. Asterisk. The old file opened with a soundless flicker. On Raylan's screen appeared a photo, blurry, black and white. Two small figures, maybe 6 years old. Pale skin, white hair. Eyes wide with fear, in red letters at the top. Project Mirror Soul. Phase 1. Raylan sat in the dark. Alone, the twins were asleep. Outside, thunder rolled across the metal sky of VEL Tracks-9. He read the report again. Subjects 7A and 7B were grown. In a synthetic womb. Alien-based DNA. Human neural tissue added. Purpose, emotional syncing and silent control of high-value targets. He scrolled down. When emotional bond is formed, subject can read thoughts, alter feelings, and even disable human motor function. Raylan leaned back, heart pounding. They weren't made to fight. They were made to feel, to connect, and then take control. They were designed as a weapon of the heart. Earlier that day, Raylan had received the order from High Command. Bring the twins to Central Lab. They are property of the United Human Alliance. He didn't reply. Not yet. Instead, he started digging. He hacked into old war logs, deleted files. Dead scientist backups, everywhere. The same name came up. Dr. Elias Bren, lead geneticist for the Mirror Soul Project. Last seen on Dravik Primaires, before the planet was destroyed. But Raylan found something strange. A message, hidden inside an old supply record. It wasn't meant for military eyes. If anyone finds this, the twins were never meant for war. I made a mistake. I gave them the bondees, but I also gave them something else. Choice, if they form a true connection with someone. They can choose to love or destroy. I never found out which. Dr. Elias Bren. Raylan closed the file. His hand trembled slightly, because he knew what he had to do, and he didn't like it. The next morning, Lyra watched Raylan quietly as he packed a small bag. Are we going somewhere? She asked. Raylan nodded. We're going to the vault. Nova frowned. What's there? Raylan met her eyes. The truth. They left the base through an old service tunnel. No one saw them go. The vault was hidden beneath a ruined structure. Once a Dravik science lab. Now buried under ash and metal. Raylan had seen it before on maps, but never entered. It was sealed, dead, until Nova placed her hand on the wall. The door opened. No password. No code, just her touch. Inside, lights flickered to life. Dust floated in the air like tiny stars. Old machines, empty tubes, and datapads covered in alien writing. The twins stood frozen. This place, Lyra whispered. I remember. Touched the wall. We were born here. Raylan found a small glowing core in the center chamber. It pulsed when he approached. A voice came from it. Not human. Not alien. It was something in between. Welcome, Subject 7A. Welcome, Subject 7B. Welcome. Primary bond candidate, Raylan Pierce. Raylan stepped back. What the hell is that? Lyra's voice trembled. That's the bond system, Nova added. It's reading your emotions. You single quotes read ... connected now. Raylan's throat went dry. How long has it been reading me? Nova looked at him almost sadly. Since the day you looked at us like people. Suddenly, alarms blared. Raylan's communicator lit up. Authorized. Movement detected. You are ordered to return with the subjects. Lethal force is authorized. He shut the device off. Lyra gripped his arm. They're coming for us. Raylan looked at the twins. Their faces were scared. Tired, angry, but also human. They want to take you back, cut you open, study you. Lyra whispered. You should. Let them, you'll be safe. Raylan stepped forward. That's not the kind of man I am. Nova looked him straight in the eyes. Then, you're already part of us. Outside the ruined lab, drones flew in like black insects. Troops in armored suits followed. Raylan raised his gun. The twins stood behind him, hands glowing faintly and deep in their minds. Something ancient was waking up. Not fear, not programming, but power guided by choice. Asterisk, asterisk. Smoke danced across the landing field like slow-moving ghosts. A red sun bled through the clouds above Veltrax 9, casting shadows over the wreckage of what used to be the Dravik research zone. Somewhere beneath the ash and dust, the twins had found pieces of themselves, but above ground, something else had arrived. War was coming again, only this time. It wasn't between species. It was between truths. Raylan Pierce crouched behind a broken supply pod. His rifle drawn, his heart louder than the storm above. Beside him, Lyra and Nova stood still, too still. The ground shook as human dropships touched down in the distance. Raylan whispered, they sent the kill team. Nova didn't flinch. I know. Lyra closed her eyes. They're afraid of us. No, Raylan said. They're afraid of what you might choose to become. A moment of silence passed between them, sharp, fragile. Then Raylan stood up. Run, he said. But neither girl moved. We're tired of running. Nova said. Raylan's voice dropped. If you fight them, they'll call you monsters. Lyra looked at him, not with anger, but something gentler. What if they already have? The first plasma shot hit the ground near their feet. A warning. Raylan aimed his weapon, but didn't fire. He couldn't, not yet. A voice shouted through a loudspeaker. Commander Pierce, surrender the Dravik twins. You are under arrest for high-level protocol breach. Raylan muttered. They think I'm the traitor now. He turned to the twins. I need to know something. Can you control what's inside? Can you hold it back? Nova answered. Yes, but we don't want to anymore. The wind howled louder as their hands began to glow faintly, like blue fire beneath their skin. Raylan stared. Don't kill them. Not unless you have to. We won't, said Lyra, but we'll make them see. She stepped forward. Just as a soldier fired again, this time not at the ground. Raylan dove to push her out of the way. But before the bolt could hit, it froze in midair, hovering like a trapped insect. Nova lifted her hand. The bolt turned, reversed direction, and flew back. It didn't kill, it knocked the soldier out cold. Raylan blinked. You didn't just stop it, you redirected it. Nova nodded. We're learning. Fast. Then the battle began. But it wasn't like any battle Raylan had seen. The twins didn't strike out in rage. They moved with purpose. They bent sound, shifted metal, pushed mines. Soldiers dropped their weapons not from injury, but confusion, fear, in some cases, even guilt. Lyra's voice echoed across the field, not loud, but deep, as if speaking to something beneath the surface. Look at us, not as tools, not as weapons, but as your mirror. Some men fell to their knees. Others ran. The human command ship rose into the air. Trying to flee, Nova raised her hands, but Raylan caught her wrist. Let it go. She hesitated, then lowered her hand. The ship vanished into the sky, leaving behind smoke and silence. Raylan exhaled. You had the power to end them all. Lyra looked at him. We chose not to. He nodded. Then they were wrong about you. Nova tilted her head. And what about you? Raylan didn't answer right away. Then, slowly, he took off his rank badge and dropped it into the dirt. I choose, too. As the sun sank lower, the three of them stood alone among the ash and wreckage, no longer enemies, no longer strangers. And far above, in orbit, the human council watched everything through satellite feeds. Their voices were cold. If they can make choices, they're more dangerous than we thought. A quiet reply came from one council member. Or maybe more human than we are. Asterisk lightning split the sky without warning. No thunder followed, just silence. Heavy, unnatural silence. The kind that presses against your chest like a warning before something breaks. Raylan stared at the map flickering on the stolen datapad. A red dot blinked in the upper quadrant. A hidden dockyard deep in the wild zone. A buried Dravik ship sat there, forgotten since the war. It was their only chance out. Behind him, Lyra was kneeling, fingers tracing strange symbols into the dirt like muscle memory. Nova stood at the entrance of the cave, watching the horizon, where three black dots moved slowly across the Sky Scout drones. They're sweeping the sector again. She said softly. Raylan didn't look up. Then we're running out of time. We always were, Lyra whispered. They moved at dusk. The twins didn't speak. Their faces were harder, now calm, but distant. Something in them had changed since the field. They had tasted power, and instead of losing control, they had held back, chosen peace. But the world hadn't thanked them. The world wanted them contained. Raylan had seen the message, the bounty on their heads. The new orders, live capture preferred, lethal force authorized. The ship they were heading toward buried beneath. Rust and Bone wasn't just a ride. It was a line in the sand. The dockyard was dead quiet when they arrived. A crater surrounded the structure. Metal walls bent inward, as if the sky itself had tried to crush the place. Raylan scanned the perimeter. Nothing alive. Nova frowned. Not yet. They descended through broken panels and twisted stairs into the dark belly of the ancient Dravik ship. It was half buried in rock, half submerged in memory. Inside, the air felt thick with static. Lyra moved first, placing her hand against a curved console. It lit up, slowly recognizing her touch. The ship responded like something waking from a long, dream. Nova moved to the main chamber. Raylan followed, scanning each interface. Does it still fly? The ship pulsed once, as if insulted. Then, a voice spoke not aloud, but in their minds, not language, but intention. One of you may enter. One of you must stay. Lyra gasped. It wants a bond. Nova looked at her sister. Like us. Raylan stepped forward. You mean it wants a pilot? Lyra shook her head. It wants a connection. It was designed to sync with one soul, not three. Raylan didn't hesitate. Take the ship, he said. Go. Nova stared at him, Voice suddenly sharp. "You're not staying." Raylan smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. "You said it yourself. It only needs one." Lyra's eyes burned. "We're not leaving you behind." Suddenly, a sharp sound echoed above metal on stone. They weren't alone anymore. A small scout team had followed. Shadows moved at the edge of the entrance. Raylan grabbed his weapon. "Go, now." Nova's hands began to glow. Lyra reached out, and then the first shot rang out. Raylan fell, not dead, not unconscious, but wounded badly. Nova screamed. Not loudly, but with a kind of vibration that shook the walls. Stone cracked. Machines sparked. And in that moment, something inside her snapped. Her eyes glowed white. Not blue. Not human. White like a dying star. She raised both hands, and the ceiling folded. Not exploded. Not shattered. Folded like paper. The soldiers dropped their weapons, frozen in place. Their minds no longer their own. Raylan coughed, blood on his lips. "Nova, stop." But she didn't. She was somewhere else now, deeper than rage. Deeper than control. Lyra grabbed her sister's shoulders. "Come back, please. He's still here." The glow faded. Nova dropped to her knees and cried. Later, when the ship door closed behind them, the chamber lights faded into a soft pulsing. Blue Raylan lay on a medbed inside, eyes barely open. "You stopped," he whispered. Nova nodded. "Because we're still us." He tried to smile. "Then there's hope." Lyra looked at the ship controls. "We don't know where this takes us." Raylan closed his eyes. "Anywhere but here." The ship HUMM-ED and lifted off quiet as a thought below. In the dust of Veltrax 9, the last transmission from a scout drone captured one final image. 2 alien girls, 1 wounded soldier, and a ship older than the war itself. Breaking the sky, asterisk, asterisk. It had no name. The ship that carried them beyond Veltrax 9 wasn't listed in any human archive or Dravik database. It didn't have a model number or call sign. It wasn't built, it was grown. Raylan floated in the healing chamber as the ship moved silently through deep space. His wound was closing, but slowly. The medgel worked, but even alien technology had limits. Beside him, Lyra sat with her knees pulled to her chest, watching the stars through the curved window. Nova stood near the ship's neural node, silent, one hand on the console. The stars were different now. They had left known territory. "Are we safe?" Raylan's voice was weak, but steady. Nova shook her head slowly. "No, just farther." Lyra whispered, "They'll come." "They always do," Raylan said. In the days that followed, the ship showed them things, not screens. Not words, memories. It was alive, and it remembered the war. It remembered the twins' creation-hidden labs, frightened scientists, broken ethics. It remembered Dr. Elias Bren, the man who made the choice to give them not just power, but freedom and something else, their origin. They weren't just part Dravik, part experiment. They were part human. Raylan stared at the glowing projection. A familiar sequence of DNA rotated slowly in the air. "Whose is that?" asked. The ship responded not in sound, but through feeling a memory not his own. A face. A voice. His. Nova turned to him. "You're our genetic donor." Raylan didn't move. Didn't breathe. "They used your captured blood from an old mission, mixed it with Dravik material. They never told you, never planned to, but you were always connected to us." Lyra stepped forward. "You were never just our guardian, Raylan. You were the reason we exist." He laughed, quietly. Not out of joy, not sadness, just disbelief. "All this time, I thought I was protecting you." Nova sat beside him. "You were, but now we're protecting each other." The silence after. That wasn't empty, it was whole. But peace doesn't last forever. The ship's warning lights flickered. One morning cycle, a signal had been detected. Human origin. Military grade, they'd found them. Raylan stood up, still healing, but no longer weak. We can't keep running. Nova nodded. We don't have to. They didn't turn the ship around. They didn't aim weapons. They sent a message, simple, uncode. We are not your tools. We are not your enemy. We are what you made, what you can become. We are choosing peace. Will you? For 2 hours, no reply came. Then, a signal. Video feed only. A woman appeared. Human. Military uniform. High rank she. Stared at the camera, unreadable. Then she said, "Return the biological assets. You have 48 hours. No emotion, no hesitation. Just protocol." Raylan looked at the twins. Lyra asked, "What do we do now?" Nova answered, "What we were never allowed to do." Raylan stood between them. We make a stand. But not with weapons. With truth. The next broadcast was different. The ship used every frequency it could access. Civilian, pirate, military. It showed files, real files, DNA logs, Project Mirror Soul documents, video footage of the lab, test logs, confessions, and one message recorded by Raylan himself. They created life to control it. But that life woke up. It chose something else. These girls were born from war, but they carry something no lab can measure. Mercy, love, choice. They gave them to me as slaves. I found daughters. The galaxy paused. Some called them dangerous. Some called them divine. But no one could ignore them anymore. Weeks passed. Then one day, without warning, a second message arrived. Text only. You are free. Do not return. No name. No threat. Just permission or surrender. On the viewing deck, Lyra and Nova stood side by side. Raylan walked in behind them. So, what now? He asked. Lyra smiled. Now we live. Nova turned. Now we find out what we really are in our terms. Raylan nodded. The ship turned toward open stars, past maps, past names, somewhere between what was and what could be. Together, final. Line, they were made in chains. They were gifted as property. They were feared as weapons, but they left as family. And no one, not empire, nor war, nor silence, could unmake that.